42 right now on this Thursday morning. Tulsa Public School students are heading back to the classroom next week after almost an entire year in distance learning. So joining us live this morning to discuss the decision is Dr. Deborah Gist, Superintendent of Tulsa Public Schools. Dr. Gist, thank you for joining us this morning. Tell me about the factors that you and the board looked at to determine that it is safe, in fact, to bring those kids back into the classroom.
Good morning, Mike. Well, you know, when we look back to last spring, the whole state closed. That was required. And then moving into the first quarter, we didn't have information about what was going to happen in school buildings. And there were many predictions by the health professionals that schools would be super spreader events. And so given what we knew at the time, we made the decision to start our year in distance learning. During the first quarter, though, we got really good information that in fact, because of all the safety practices, that schools were places where the virus was not spreading within the buildings themselves. So we began transitioning our students back to in-person learning in the second quarter in November. And unfortunately, about that time, the cases began to surge and got really, really high, as everyone knows in our area. Well, thank goodness, those have come down and have been dropping steadily for about a month. And so we are very much looking forward to transitioning our students back to our school buildings starting next week.
Dr. Gist, I understand that, the governor was very vocal. He kind of called out TPS a couple of times about, remaining in distance learning. Did you ever feel any pressure from him? I know that there was a Facebook post. You kind of called him a bully. Have you talked to him after that? And did you feel any pressure to get those kids back in the classroom?
The only pressure we have felt for getting our students back into the classroom is the pressure that we have put on ourselves. We have wanted to have our students back in our buildings every single moment since this whole experience began. So no one has wanted that more than our students, our parents, our team members, our board, and me. And so we have been focused on that and figuring out all the ways that we needed to prepare to have our students back. So that's what we've been focused on.
And have you heard from the governor at all after the post, or have you guys talked?
No, I have not had a chance to speak to the governor. We've just stayed focused on what we need to do. I'm not sure why Tulsa was such a focus for him. We were not the only school district in the state who had been in distance learning. We've been following the guidance from the Oklahoma health professionals, public health professionals, as well as the Tulsa health professionals this entire time, and have been working to get our students back and look forward to that happening next week.
Let's go ahead and talk about this. What steps are you taking to keep those kids safe? Anything that have been changed? I know we're trying to keep kids 6 feet apart, but what is the school district doing to keep those kids safe?
Definitely. Well, we have had extensive plans around our safety practices in our buildings since last summer when we were preparing to bring our students back for the start of the school year. And what we have done this year is continue to refine those and update them as new research became available. So obviously, universal masking will be in place in all of our buildings as it has been to date. That's the most important thing we can all do. I mean, when you think about the limited spread within school buildings, one of the primary reasons is because of universal masking. So imagine if we were all doing that in the rest of our lives. We also have really excellent ventilation in Tulsa Public Schools buildings. We're so grateful to Tulsans for the last 25 years they've passed our school bonds, which allows us to have really healthy and safe buildings. And that's never been more important than it is now. There are also safety screenings and other practices that we'll have in place in our buildings. But mostly what we want families to do is remind their students, practice the mask wearing, remind their students about the importance of hand washing. And otherwise, we're just looking forward to welcoming them back, and we'll take care of the rest.
I know those kids are going to be excited. Is there a virtual option for parents, who still aren't comfortable sending their kids back? Can they still school at home?
Definitely. So we actually have thousands of students in our district who chose Tulsa Virtual Academy from the start of the school year, and others who made that choice mid-year, but we also have the opportunity for families who would like to have their children stay in distance learning but stay at their current school. It will look different because our teachers are now going to have students in their classrooms in person, so it will be different, but that is still an option, and they can go to our website, tulsaschools.org/enroll, to make sure to let us know by tomorrow so that we can get ready for their students for next week.
So they can do so by tomorrow. Dr. Giss, thank you for your time. Thanks for joining us this morning, and good luck getting everybody, back in the learning process and back into those schoolrooms.
Thank you.